everyone, bonjour. I'm Tula Rampont and I am the France correspondent for National Living magazine, and I'm excited in this video to tell you about one of the most important steps on the road to making your dreams of living in France a reality: how to obtain a French visa and the right to reside in the country long-term. First of all, I want to put any of your fears about the process to rest. I've been helping international subscribers navigate obtaining a French visa for several years now, and although it's a bit of a paperwork headache, the process itself has been streamlined, and it's basically a matter of checking off a bunch of boxes, filling out an application, turning in your paperwork, attending one quick 20-minute meeting, and then waiting for your visa to arrive in the mail. So let's go ahead and dive into the nuts and bolts of the process. First off, about 90% of you watching the video, the visa you'll apply for is called the long stay visa. France does not have a designated retirement visa, golden visa, or other visa which requires you to vest in the country in order to obtain residency. Therefore, the long stay visa is a standard visa to apply for if you'd like to reside or retire in France. There is a similar visa, also called the long stay visa, but you'll find next to the long stay name the initials capital T and capital S. So long stay visa T and S. This is designated for students only coming for a period of 12 months and requires the holder to leave France, go home, and then apply again for a visa if they would like to return to the country. So this is not a visa for retirees or people wishing to stay long term. It is also important to note that for visits up to 3 months in France, North Americans do not need to obtain a visa. The long stay visa will allow you to stay up to 12 months in France, then you renew in France about a month or so before the 12 months are up. At this time, it turns into a residence card. You will renew for a total of 4 years. So 5 years total in France, and then you can apply for a 10-year residence card or French citizenship. You must apply for the long stay visa in your country of residence, the United States or Canada, for purposes of this video. In addition, you can apply for the visa more than 3 months before your departure date to move to France. So it's a good idea to sketch out a timeline for your move and start getting your documentation in order when you've decided on your moving date. For example, if you decide to move to France at the start of September, you would begin the visa process at the beginning of June. The last very important detail that I'd like to cover before we go through each individual step is that you are not allowed to work in France on the long stay visa. You will be required to submit a written statement saying that you will not seek employment in France. As with many European countries, France has had and continues to have quite high unemployment, and is very difficult, near impossible, to obtain a work visa from a French company unless you're already employed in the United States in an American company that transfers you to France. I'll talk later in the video about alternatives if you wish to work in the country. In order to start the long stay visa process, you will need to gather the following items: 2 passport size photos. You will also need a current passport, which must be valid for at least 3 months from the date of return, with at least 2 blank pages. Very important. That's where the visa is going to go. Proof of health insurance, which must cover France for the entire Schengen zone with 30,000 euros worth of coverage for the entire 12 months. You can cancel this when you get on French health coverage, which you are entitled to after 3 months of residing in the country. Some people are able to cancel the policy that they have purchased. Some people just let it go for the 12 months, but you will need it for the visa application. And it's specific health insurance just for the visa, so you're going to want to look at a couple different providers to make sure that you have the correct policy. One that international living subscribers have used in the past is called the Gold Visa Safe Policy. Gold Visa Safe Policy from Mondasur, and we'll put that in the comments. In Paris is an example of one such provider. You'll need proof of accommodation for 3 months minimum in France, and this does not have to be a title or a deed or even a long-term rental, so don't worry about having to purchase property before coming to France. Although those are acceptable but not necessary. It is totally fine to show proof of a 3-month stay at a hotel, an Airbnb, or a short-term rental. You can even have a friend or relative who lives in France write a letter vouching that you will be staying with them. Brief note here that all of those options I mentioned previously, health insurance, letter of accommodation where you'll be staying, are all acceptable. But if by some chance you submit a document that doesn't quite fly with what they're looking for, you will be immediately contacted by mail with a request to send or replace the document. So don't worry if you don't get everything 100% right, which I hope you do right off the bat, but they will contact you and ask you to resubmit a document if it's not what you're looking for. As mentioned previously, you'll need to write a brief statement saying you will not seek employment in France. Next, you need to show proof of financial means, which is equivalent to French minimum wage. This shows that you're able to support yourself while living in France. This can be 3 months of bank statements of any kind, financial, proof of social security or pension, or similar financial document proving that you have sufficient funds. Currently, if you are under the age of 65 and moving as a single person, you will need to show earnings of $696 a month. If you're over 65 and single, the amount is $1,073 per month. Again, proof of financial means. If you're moving as a couple and you're under 65, you need to show financial means equivalent to $1,036 a month. If you're moving as a couple and you're over 65, you will need to prove documentation of $1,666 a month. Again, these figures are equivalent to the French minimum wage. Lastly, you're required to write a cover letter stating your purpose for seeking the visa. This only needs to be a few short paragraphs at most, and if you are looking to retire in France, you just need to write something like a personal statement. Might go as the following: I would like to retire in France. I have the financial means to do so, and I wish to take advantage of all the cultural benefits France has to offer. I initially have accommodations in an Airbnb for 3 months. After that, I will seek out a long-term rental in Nice and plan to make the city my home for my retirement. This is just an example. You can edit the statement for your own personal situation. It's a good idea to talk about your initial plans, where you'll be staying, and where you would like to settle long term. Once you have gathered all this documentation, you are in the 3-month window to apply before you leave to France, you will fill an application on the France-Visas website. This is the official French government website. Everything is in English. Don't worry. You can save your work as you go along, and you're able to print out your application at the end. The application itself and process are all detailed on the website. The current fee for the application is €99, so about $106. Once you have clicked on the submit button, you can download it, you'll save it, print it out for your records, and you will also be directed to make an appointment with an organization called VFS Global. Although the French consulate makes the final decision on your visa, the processing is now handled by a third party, which has processing centers in major US and Canadian cities. You will then go to an in-person appointment at VFS, and you can find a VFS processing center nearest to you, or make an appointment directly, even though you'll be directed after your visa application directly to the site at their website, which is www.vfsglobal.com. So again, easy process, streamlined, getting all your documents together. You've got your timeline. You fill out the application on the France-Visas website. You're immediately directed to make an appointment at a major US city, and you're going to have to go. It is an in-person appointment because they're going to hold on to your passport. It's a biometric visa. They're gonna put your visa in your passport. You're gonna have your passport mailed back to you. There is a courier fee at the visa appointment that you will pay, and that is pretty much the entire process. So, just to recap, the day of your appointment, you will take your printed application, all of your documents that I've listed for the long stay visa. There is a processing fee at the VFS Global of $33. Again, you'll be required to leave your passport, and you will also pay the courier fee. VFS will forward all of your documents to the French consulate, as I mentioned, makes the final decision, and your visa will be mailed back to your home address in around 2 to 3 weeks' time. Quickest turnaround I've seen is about 5 days. So again, quick, streamlined process. And as I mentioned, just lastly, for those of you wishing to work in France, the easiest way is to be transferred by an American or Canadian company. Next, you can apply for a talent visa, where the steps are quite similar to the ones that I had discussed, except you will need to provide greater documentation based on the talent visa option you select. So there are several options: highly skilled worker, person of artistic or cultural interest. Perhaps you're writing a book on French cuisine or the history of the Napoleonic Wars, something that is going to provide cultural value, can be here or back home in the States. And someone of international recognition, or you are seeking to open a business or invest in France. If you go the business route, you will have to provide already a business plan and a framework and show that you have 30,000 euro already invested in a potential business. You can find additional details on each branch of the talent visa on the France-Visas website. Thank you very much for hanging in with me. I hope this information was helpful. I am more than happy to help anyone on the road to obtaining a French visa. And again, don't worry about it. It's a bit of a paperwork headache, but people are being applying and being accepted for visas, international living subscribers, and you can do it. So bon courage, which means good luck in French, and please let me know if you have any questions.